Howdy, howdy guys, let's do two example problems. Okay, for the first one, let's assume that you are moving at 2 meters per second initially. 10 seconds later, you are moving at 10 meters per second. What is your acceleration? Okay, that's interesting. Remember, acceleration is change in velocity over change in time. Okay, so we're going to assume that we have a velocity here and that we know the direction. Okay, we'll kind of box this in here. There's our change. What is our change in velocity? Well, it's velocity 2 minus velocity 1. Okay, just like any changes. So this is here, this is our velocity 2, and this one here is our velocity 1. So if we begin the calculation, which we'll do in purple, if we do 10 meters per second minus 2 meters per second over, what's the change in time? Well, it's 10 seconds later is the change in time, so it's over 10 seconds. Well, remember, let's do the top. This is going to be equal to 10 meters per second minus 2 meters per second. That's simply going to be 8 meters per second over 10 seconds. Well, how are we going to do this? Well, remember, this is the same. Okay, I'm going to come down and we'll continue it on the other line here. This is the same as 8 meters per second. Since I'm dividing by 10 seconds, it's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, remember? So I can put multiply 1 over 10 seconds. Okay, so I can do that. That's something we were already talking about in class. Now look at our units. Do any units cancel? No. Okay, this is very important. You do not get unit cancellation here. This is going to equal 8 meters times 1 is 8 meters. Seconds times 10 seconds is 10 seconds squared. Okay, that is 10 seconds squared. Now this is very important to notice, okay, that you're going to get a squared unit. So when you divide this out, this is going to be 0.8 meters per second squared. And what that means is that by the way, this is going to be your average acceleration. So your average acceleration was for every second that you were moving, you were gaining 0.8 meters per second in velocity. If you read this, look at it, it's 0.8 meters per second is how you read this. That's what second squared means, which means that, 0.8 meters per second, and then you add another 0.8 meters per second in velocity the next second, and then the next second you add another 0.8 meters per second in velocity. So each second that you traveled, okay, from when you were starting at 2 meters per second, after that, every second after that, you added 0.8 meters per second. So let's take a look at what that means. So we started at 2 meters per second, and our acceleration is 0.8 meters per second squared. Take a look at what that actually means. What it means is, here I am at this time, so time and velocity. Time and velocity. I'm going to make this chart. Okay? So we had, let's say, time 0, and velocity, I'm just going to go ahead and give the units, was in meters per second. Okay? So we already know the units. So at time 0, it was 2. At time 1 second later, it's 2.8, your velocity meters per second. At time 2 seconds, it's what? 3.6. I've added another 0.8 plus 0.8 to get that. Okay, and now again I'm going to go down to 3 seconds. It's going to be 4.4. That's another 0.8. I'll add that. That's plus 0.8 down there. Okay. And we can continue this trend at 4 seconds. It's going to be what? 5.2. At 6 seconds, it's 6 meters per second. At 7 seconds, it's 6.8 meters per second, etc. Okay, and so if I divide my little lines here, so that's what that actually would look like. That's acceleration. Every 1 second, I'm gaining 0.8 meters per second in my velocity. So of course, if I graph this, and we'll do it in brown, because we don't use brown a lot, if I were to look at a graph here with my time, oops, we'll have to write distance right there, what would this graph look like? And again, since you're gaining velocity, so here's our first point, is going to be here, or something. Oops, hello, okay. 1 second, we've got the 2.8, and then we've got the 3.6, and the 4.4, and the 5.2, and the 6.8. So again, you get this parabola going on. Okay, it's a curve that every time you go rise and run, it's changing and getting the rise is getting larger and larger and larger for every 1 second because you're accelerating, so the velocity is changing. All right, so that's how to try to think about the units of acceleration.